The objective is to solve a nonlinear system of equations by substitution. Here is a system of nonlinear equations. And this one is negative x squared minus y equals a negative 24. And the next equation is y plus x equals 4. If you want to solve this by substitution, that means in one of these equations you have to get a variable by itself. So the easiest one would be the second one, where you have a y and an x, and nothing is with them as a coefficient. So if you want, you can solve for y by simply leaving y on the left and moving x to the right and changing the sign to negative x. Once you have y equals a negative x, that means this expression is equal to y. So where you see a y in the other equation, you can substitute this expression in for y. So in the top equation, so if you have this, you're going to set this equal to y in here in this equation. So you're going to have a negative x squared minus a set of parentheses and insert this in as negative x plus 4 and then set it equal to a negative 24. So once you have that in there, you have to go back and simplify. The negative x squared stays the way it is. There's nothing else to simplify it with. But you have a minus quantity. When I have a minus quantity, what must I do to each sign inside of it?
Change.
Must change it. So we end up with a plus x minus 4. And then equals a negative 24. So now we have a negative x squared plus x minus 4 equals negative 24. This is going to end up being a quadratic equation. So anytime you have a quadratic equation and it's possible, try to make the x squared term positive. And the way you can do that is by doing this. Here's your equal sign. The negative x squared is on the left. You can move it to the right and change the sign. You can move this to the right, change the sign. The minus 4 can go over and become plus 4. And then you have a minus 24 that's already on the right. In other words, everything goes to the right so that we can make x squared positive. So it's much easier to factor if that's possible. This was already on the right, so it stays minus 24. So 0 equals x squared minus x. What is 4 minus 24? Negative 20, yeah. So we have a quadratic equation. And we can solve this by completing the square, the quadratic formula, or factoring. Factoring is always the first option because it would be the easiest in most cases. Can I find two numbers that multiply to get a negative 20 and add to get a negative 1? What numbers are those?
4, 5, 4.
It's not positive 5 or positive 4. Negative 4 and 5 would give me a positive 1. Negative 5 and 4 is right. So 0 would equal x minus 5, x plus 4. And what we do to solve for x in this case, like we did before, when this was our main objective, is to set each one equal to 0. And then solve. So in this case, x is 5, and here x is negative 4. That is not the solution to the whole problem, because we've only come up with values of x. We still have to go back through and solve for y. So here's where we're at so far. We set this y by itself and moved this x over and made it negative x. So y is equal to negative x plus 4. We substituted this expression in for y in the top equation. That's where we put it here. We simplified through and moved everything to the right so we could have a positive x squared. Once we did that, we simplified some more with these two constants and figured out we could factor it and then solve it. But we have to solve for y. And here's how you would solve for y. You're going to pick one of the two equations, this one or this one. I'm going to choose the second one. So if I choose the second one, that's y plus x equals 4. And I'm going to bring it down here. Y plus x equals 4. I have to do this twice to solve for y because I have two solutions for x. So I'm going to start with the 5. I'm going to put 5 in for x and then solve for y. Move the 5 over, change the sign. You end up with a -1. So one possible combination is that 5 is x and -1 is y. Another possible combination, if we use the same equation, y plus x equals 4, is that we would have to use -4 for x. So put in the -4, y plus -4 equals 4. That's the same thing as y minus 4 equals 4. Move the -4 over and make it plus. So that would give me an 8. So my solution there could be 4 for x, or a -4 for x, I should say, and then a +8 for y. Both of these would go down as your solutions.